In this video, we're going to be looking at revenue functions, cost functions, and profit functions. So we're going to start with a few definitions. The first one is revenue. Revenue is the money generated by selling products or services and specifically selling X units of product or service. It's really important when we're working with these functions to remember that X is the number of products that are made and sold. There is an underlying assumption here that we are selling everything that we make, which, as you know, for a real business is not necessarily going to be the case, but it makes the math simpler to work with. So X is the number of units of products that are being made and sold. The revenue function, R of X, is multiplying the price per unit sold times the number of products that we sell, which is X. So to find the revenue for the business, you multiply how much you sell each product for times the number of products that you sell. And that gives you the total amount of money that you have coming in. We also have cost, which is the cost of producing products, and again, that's X units of product. And our cost function, we have actually two types of costs. We have what are called fixed costs, which includes things like rent or executive salaries. And then we have what are called variable costs that depend on the number of units of product that you're making and selling. So this would include things like materials, labor, etc. So the variable costs, we multiply the cost per unit by X. And then lastly, we have our break-even point. This is the point where revenue and costs are equal. So your money coming in is exactly the same as your money going out. In other words, you're not making money, you're not losing money, it's exactly breaking even. So we're going to look first at example 5. This is looking at a company that's making wheelchairs. They have fixed costs of $500,000 and it will cost $400 to produce each wheelchair. Each wheelchair will be sold for $600. So we're going to start with our cost function, C of X. We add the fixed cost of $500,000 and the variable cost, it costs $400 to produce each wheelchair. So we multiply 400 by the number of wheelchairs that we are going to produce, which is X. So 500,000 plus 400X. The revenue function, we're selling the wheelchairs for $600. So 600 times the number of wheelchairs that are sold, which is X. So 600X. Lastly, the break-even point is where costs and revenue are equal. So to find this, what I'm going to do is set the revenue, 600X, equal to the cost, 500,000 plus 400X, and then I'm going to solve for X. And that's going to give me the number of wheelchairs that I need to make in order to break even. So I'm going to solve this equation. First, I'm going to subtract 400X from both sides. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 200. That gives me X equals 2,500 wheelchairs. Remember, X is number of products. So this means that I need to make and sell 2,500 wheelchairs in order for my business to break even. Now, what you're going to see in the homework is that they're going to want you to write this as a coordinate pair. So what that means is that I need to find the revenue and costs at that point where I'm making and selling 2,500 wheelchairs. They're going to be the same because I'm breaking even there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug into either equation 2,500 for X. I'm going to use the revenue equation because it's going to be just a little bit easier, but you could also plug in to the cost function. So that's going to give me a value of 1.5 million. If I plug into the cost function, I would get that same value of 1.5 million. So what they're going to look for in the homework is they're going to ask you to write this as a pair, and they're also going to say to not use commas in writing the big numbers, because you should only have one comma that separates the X and Y coordinates. So for this problem, I would enter the answer like this. Now, in terms of describing what this means that the company will break even if they make and sell 2,500 wheelchairs. We can also say that at that point, when they make and sell 2,500 wheelchairs, money in will equal money out, costs equal revenue, and those two values will both be 1.5 million. If the company makes fewer than 2,500 wheelchairs, then they're going to be losing money. If they make more than 2,500 wheelchairs, then they're going to start making money or having a profit. So now you should look at checkpoint problem number 5 from the book. This is the same type of problem, it's just about running shoes instead of wheelchairs. So pause the video, do this problem in your notes, check the answer with the notes that are posted, and then you can move on with the video. Next, we're going to talk about the profit function. Profit is calculated by subtracting revenue minus costs. So you take the money that your business has coming in, you subtract the money that you're spending to make your products or whatever it is, that'll give you the leftover money, which will be the profit. So profit equals revenue minus costs, or money in minus money out. And obviously for any business, it's important to make a profit. If you're not making a profit, you're not going to be in business for very long. So we're going to start by looking at example 6. This is using the same numbers that we used in example 5 for the wheelchair business. We have our revenue function and our cost function, and it says to write the profit function for producing and selling X wheelchairs. So profit equals revenue minus costs. My revenue is 600X. My cost function is 500,000 plus 400X. Notice I'm putting the cost in parentheses Because that's subtracted, I need to make sure that I'm subtracting both parts of that. So what I need to do is distribute that minus sign. So it's going to be 600x minus 500,000, and then minus 400x. So this minus sign gets distributed. Lastly, I'm going to combine these like terms. 600x minus 400x is 200x, and then minus 500,000. So this is my profit function. If I want to calculate the profit for a given number of products, I can just plug that in for x. Remember, x is the number of units that are produced and sold. So what you should do next is checkpoint problem number 6. Do this problem in your notes, check the answer with the notes that are posted, and then you can move on to the homework.